Hello, advocates, and welcome to the A Podcast. I'm your host, J.R. Knight. We are halfway through season three, but we're not done yet. Before we move forward, we wanted to take a moment to look back. Over the past 7 episodes, we've had some truly phenomenal guests stop by the studio. Together, we've unpacked the critical, life saving importance of self care. We've explored how trauma exploits and transforms, sometimes to a superpower that helps us overcome absolutely any and everything. And we celebrated the fact that this woman's work is as beautiful as it is complex. Yaya, she softened our hearts as she shared a story of the Black woman. And the guys penned a beautiful verbal love letter with Dear Black Women. We received a master class in growing where you're planted, and we navigated the varying intersection and profound experiences of being a grown woman. These visits have been everything from pure entertainment to deep therapy. If you want a full dose of these incredible conversations, reach back into the archives and look forward to brand new episodes every single Thursday. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the highlights.
When you go home.
Yeah.
Leave the laptop in the car. And these
It
are
put
things
me
that I had to
everywhere I
learn
go.
how to do. These are things I had to learn how to do. Plan vacations. Do things that make you happy. For me, when we talk about self-care, I go to the nail salon and I get my nails and feet done. I sit back and relax. I believe in vacations, intentional vacations.
Yes.
Even when it comes to business trips, I turn those business trips into vacation. I'll stay an extra day longer. I'll go an extra day earlier to be intentional on resting this body.
I'm listening.
Because this body is my temple.
I'm listening.
And I have been commissioned to take care of this temple because I want to live.
I'm listening.
And I want to live a long time. He promised us 3 scores. But I want to go a little bit longer than that.
Okay,
So yeah, I be intentional on my rest, going to bed, getting my 7 to 8 hours. I'm intentional on travel to rest. Yeah.
And
8 hours, yes.
And
Disconnecting, putting that phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yes.
They gonna be okay until I wake up.
You're familiar with that.
Do Not Disturb,
I
yes,
put it on
works.
silent,
You put it on silent.
but
That's even
not
better. But Do Not Disturb, absolutely.
Now that's intentional. Do not disturb.
Absolutely.
That's intentional.
Do not disturb.
Yes.
Whatever's going on while I'm asleep will be okay until I wake up.
The thing about great advocates a lot of times is they can advocate for other people. But they don't advocate as
Do
well
for
for
yourself.
themselves. But sometimes
Don't we
I'm
know
good
that? Yes.
advocating for myself. And I recognize that my provider is just not asking the right questions, but I know the answers and I know the right questions too. So, I just go ahead and divulge that information. So I would say to those of you who are listening to us is that when you know that your provider ain't asking you the right questions and you got the answer, just go and give it to them so they can help you live your best life. So thrive out here in these streets.
Hello. Those are great teachable moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great teachable moments.
But when you're on the other side, we look at the doctors as the authority to you.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever they say, if they say this is not gonna go away, you believe it.
They hire
Even
help.
though he's gonna go away. So I know it takes a lot, because a lot of people, like I've heard, my clients say that, oh, I had all these things I needed to ask the doctor, but before I could say it, they were gone. You know?
Yeah.
But people don't know that they can say, no, wait a minute,
Right.
I didn't finish.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
it takes courage and it takes that to be comfortable to say, hey, I need to let you know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
How do you, as you get older, stay open to making those new friends and connections?
I think being open-minded, to me, it's about being open-minded to make those healthy relationships. I've been lucky that my relationship have come naturally. I can meet somebody today, I know that, we can get along. Before they even say anything, you can feel. Sometimes you can feel, I don't know, I can't. I can feel the energy. So, knowing people beyond that too is important, because sometimes we can see a person, you've never talked to them before, but because you think that, I don't think they're friendly. You can do that too. But then after you talk to them, you find out they're the nicest people. That's your help. That's your everything. Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, I wish I knew you a long time ago.
Joining that planning council it empowered me. I came up in there, man, and when I tell you they thought I was an angry Black woman because I spoke with so much passion about what it means to live with HIV and how certain doors we couldn't access, be it we were afraid to share our diagnosis with our family members, be it if we had no transportation, like just all kinds of things. But once I joined that planning council, that's when I realized that I could be the voice for those Black women who felt that they had no voice. I had a friend, a very good friend, that would hide her medication from her kids, from her family, because of the shame and stigma that was attached to HIV at the time. I wanted to be the voice for her. I wanted to be able to speak up on her behalf. For the woman who was getting her butt kicked for breakfast, lunch, dinners, and midnight snacks. I wanted to be able to let them know, listen, just because you're living with a diagnosis, that does not give anyone the right to try and drag you through the mud. You don't have to have children from a man to try and keep that man. I'm here to tell y'all it's not gonna work. It never has. You don't have to dummy yourself down in order to make someone else look good. For a long time, I did that. But again, that goes also back to my low self-worth. So when I joined this planning council, I started getting educations and trainings centered around living with HIV. And once I started getting that education and those trainings, I took off. I would like to say I flourished. I came out of that cocoon that I had enwrapped myself in. And baby, this butterfly, she began to fly.
Where in your journey do you feel like your mom or a woman saved you?
Okay. It was a woman, which was a doctor. Her name was Dr. Bernal. And I remember being like, kind of like half-assing with my meds or whatever and barely taking them. And she had this really strong Spanish accent. And so when I would go to the doctor and my numbers would be off and there was no medicine in my system, she would always say some real tough words to me like, do you want to die? And I was like, no, I don't want to die. And she would be like, you want to die. You can go home now. And I'm like, Dr. Bernal, why would you say that? And she would just say, cross her hands and say, go home now. And I'm like, I'm not going home. And she got me through that. That statement, it still rings in my head. When I forget to take my meds, it's, do you want to die? And I'm like, why do I talk like that to myself? Why do I get in character? Because she implanted that with that accent in my brain. She was a brown woman, and I think she was from Colombia, Cuba, or something like that. But she had the strongest accent. And do you want to die is embedded in my head. So I get up and I take my rubies every morning. And then if I forget, I ask myself, do you want to die?
How does one person stepping into their power and advocating for their own health positively impact the broader community?
For me, way before HIV, I've always known that my expression of love is service. So I was clear about that before I got here, that service is love in action to me. So I was serving before I was diagnosed with HIV. And so finally finding my power again and things. And then one of the first roles that I got was developing a leadership program for women, for people living with HIV. They wanted to pay me $20,000 a year for that 1 year. And, how am I going to live? I got a law degree. I got student loans. Well, I decided to do it, and that was 2014. And I knew that I had the power to change people. I believe I have a gift of being able to inspire, being able to motivate, being able to, I look for the light in people's eyes about what inspires them or move them. Some of the things, so acceptance of my diagnosis has allowed me to live out loud, and other women can then gather something on the story. No matter where I go, and my daughter hates this, I'm always going to share a little bit of a story, what it was like for me and what happened and what it'd be like for you. I believe in that versus preaching to somebody, you should do this. This is what I did. And so when I took that power, other people began to watch it. And first you got to get it personally, because I knew I could not share my diagnosis with anybody where their reaction was going to change how I felt about myself.
Right.
So I had to get ready. So there's all these ideas of trying to make women disclose before they're ready. We need to stop that shit. They can advocate even if they're not open, just like our allies do.
Y'all gonna have this. And so that was like, I had to realize that, okay, I needed to remain a child because there's freedom in being a child. And so I find myself speaking those things, similar ideologies to my children. You know what I mean? Although they don't want to grow up too fast. They've never voiced that. You know what I mean? To me, at least. So I'm blessed in that area. But yeah, I think it's important to realize that when you're a child, you need to stay in the child's place and not to grow up too fast. I think I think my desire to want to grow up too fast is also what got me into a lot of trouble as a teenager and things like that. And so I kind of reflect back and I wish that, I would have really embraced my childhood.
I'm with you there, Melissa. Like, I think about, I wanted to be grown. I didn't like the rules. I didn't like, because I was always loquacious. Okay. Right? So, and I would get punished for that. And I couldn't wait to be an adult so that I could speak my mind and, and of course, the whole world was just waiting for me, and they were just like bated breath, wanting to hear everything I had to say. Girl, come to find out that was not the case at all. But yeah, so I was the exact opposite of you, where you were quiet and reserved. No, I've always been out loud.